Greetings from the Eclectic Chic Boutique. I'm Teresa DeFabrizio and I'm down here at the boutique, and we're going to be showing you today how you can create a beautiful watercolor greeting card, or you could also use markers, pencils, whatever you have on hand to create a beautiful and simple gesture of peace on earth. You need a couple of simple things to create your card. Watercolor paper, pencils, a marker for outlining would be very helpful, and we're going to be using brushes and watercolors today. So I'm using cake watercolors. They're bright, and the way you activate them is by dipping your brush in water and rubbing them over to get more or less pigment. So I hope you're ready to work with me, and we're going to start with the most basic and perhaps most challenging thing, folding the card right. So you're going to take your sheet of paper, you're going to line it up edge to edge. Make sure that it's nice and even so one side isn't longer than the other. And when you have that symmetrical aspect, you're going to crease it with your finger, creating a wonderful card where you can write whatever message you want on the inside and draw your image on the outside. So what we've started in pencil is an image of a dove holding the earth, which is a global ornament. Your picture doesn't have to look exactly like this, but I hope it inspires you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the basic shapes that we have so we can create our dove, our ribbon, and our ornament. So what we have over here is we have the dove's head. The head is simple. It's sort of like a soft oval. We do a divot for the lead, for the flourishing of the feather. We go down. We make a triangular shape for the beak. We then go down in a semicircle to create the chest. Divot, 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 and we have our tail. We're going to go up right behind the head of the dove. We're going to divot down. We're going to divot, and we're going to divot. You can do 3 or 4 times to create the wing. The eye is very round, and inside the eye we have 2 small circles to look like a shine. Next we're going to go over to the globe. I created my globe by cheating. We can all cheat a little bit. I used a small circular stencil. You can use stencils, or if you're going to be doing a larger version, you can even use the top of a glass to create a perfect circular shape. So this was actually a candle top. It now has a second life as an art tool. I'm putting it down, and I'm retracing my globe so it's nice and sharp. When I pull it away, my circle is whole and round. The earth doesn't have to be perfect, but you can draw some blobby shapes, at least 3 of them, so it looks like the globe. So far we have 2 of our main components. On top, I'm going to create a small oblong shape. That's the top of the ornament. I'm going to create a semicircle and a semicircle. Our globe now has become an ornament. Around our globe, we have a ribbon. Our ribbon can be whatever color you want. It could be something that represents your favorite color, maybe the colors of your country or flag, or just your favorite combination that makes you feel happy and bright. We're going to go and also go near the dove's mouth and create a similar, almost double triangle shape. Our ribbon unites up here. So, good news. We've created the 3 components: the dove, the ribbon, and our globe. Now comes the fun part. We're going to be creating our piece with watercolor. So I suggest you have several brushes ranging from small, medium, and large to help detail and color your piece. If you don't have watercolors, you can use markers or colored pencils. I'm going to take my watercolors and I'm going to begin. So I got my cup of water. I'm going to start with probably a medium-sized brush. I'm going to dip, and I'm going to actually start with the globe. I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to layer it so it looks like the ocean. If you are choosing to use watercolor, don't use too much water or it will bleed out. The more color you put on your brush, you can easily spread it around. We've created our ocean with blue watercolor, and we're starting to add in shapes of our globe in green. As you can see, now the globe is more defined. We've now defined parts of the earth with green. So we've got blue for the ocean and green for our land. So our globe is more defined. Now has definition. We're going to be moving to the top where we're going to make our globe an ornament. I'm taking a pointed brush and I'm going to use gray, gold, or silver to make the ornament top. You can use gold, gray, or silver to define the top of the ornament. Be careful not to get the area where your ribbon is. I'm also using a brush with a point so I can have some control. Colored in this picture, I think I'm going to go with a bright and cheerful red color. I'm going to use a slightly thinner, more pointed brush so I can have control. Our ribbon now has a bright pop of color. As I say, it's up to you to pick what color you choose, but we want to make sure that we keep the strokes nice and fluid so it feels like the ribbon has got flow and motion. Now comes the fun part. We're going to move on to our dove. Now, our dove technically should be white, but that's kind of hard to paint or draw, isn't it? We're going to add some shades of gray or pink or blue so you can tone your dove and give it a little bit of definition and personality. For that, I'm going to use a medium brush, and I'm going to make sure that this is very light. When we use a lot of water with watercolor, that's called a wash. If you're using marker or pencil, you can just apply the pigment lightly by not using hard pressure on the material. Let's try a little bit of a pink color. If you are using watercolor, we're going to be taking red and white and blending a light pink together. We're going to go to the dove's belly and apply a light wash. If the color is too strong or saturated, you can bleed it out with more water, so it has a soft effect. You can use a pink, a light blue. We're also going to get a bit of a gray in. If you have too much water on your brush, gently squeeze it out, and then you can almost absorb some of the excess color in water, sort of like an eraser. If you're using colored pencil, just shade very lightly. Marker, go over with light and gentle strokes. We're going to be moving to the wing. We're adding a little bit of color also at the tail. So think of parts that will help define your bird. The wing, the head, the belly, and the tail. We're now going to mix a little bit of gray in, but we need to be very careful so the gray doesn't turn out black. A very small amount of black is put on the brush, just for a little bit of definition. If it's too much, use your water to sort of be your eraser. So far we've added our pink and our soft gray. Remember, you want it to be nice and soft, and also you can continue to use your brush as an eraser by adding water to soften. So far, the wing, the belly, and the head are defined. This allows our dove to start to take shape. We'll be moving on to the beak next. We've moved on to the beak with a bright and cheerful yellow. The reason why we picked the beak last is because it's close to the ribbon. If the ribbon color is still wet, if you are using watercolor, it can bleed into the beak. So this gives the ribbon a little bit of time to dry so we can add the yellow color to the beak. A pointed brush. If you're using a marker or colored pencil, you have it a little bit easier because you already have a strong point. We're going to go in and shade the eye so it looks like our dove has a little bit of definition. It's a little bit of added definition. And don't worry if you go a little bit outside it, because when we add the marker to define, that will clean up easily. So, while our watercolor is drying, or if you're using pencil and marker, you're already ready for the last step that will help really make your piece pop. We're going to take a marker. If you're using colored pencil, you can use a black or brown colored pencil to help define. If you have a marker and you're doing the piece in colored markers, pick a black, brown, blue, whatever color you choose. I'm going to take my fine edge Sharpie and I'm going to start to add a contour line around my ribbon, globe, and dove. And everything, but adding some movement, adding a little bit of shadow. And by the way, if you have made a little bit of a mistake or gone outside the line, we can easily correct that with a simple swipe. We're starting to add a little added detail. Make sure that you move and flow with the lines that you've already drawn or painted. This will help prevent the piece from becoming stale. So here is the card version of our piece on Earth theme. You can paint the background or add colored pencil. You can create a night sky or whatever you feel would be beautiful and interesting. Or you can keep the piece simple with the focus on what you've drawn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed creating your own creative card. I'm wishing you a happy and bright holiday. Stay safe. And if you're interested in more interactive classes, either digitally or in person, please feel free to check out the Eclectic Chic Boutique's website to inquire. We're here for all your creative needs. Stay merry, stay bright, stay safe, and stay creative.